honorable, law-abiding citizens. That hasn't stopped a killer yet.
I always loved watching the kids play basketball. I still do, even though things have changed. It's funny, they can't find jobs to get their career started. And I can't afford to retire. And now we're all living together again. I supported President Obama because he spoke so beautifully. He promised change, but things changed for the worse. Obama started spending like our credit cards have no limit. His healthcare law made health insurance even more expensive. We've had stimulus and bailouts. Obama added almost $16,000 in debt for every American. How will my kids pay that off when they can't even find jobs? Now Obama wants more spending and taxes. That won't fix things. I had so many hopes. Cutting taxes and debt and creating jobs. That's the change we need. Tell President Obama to cut the job-killing debt and support the New Majority Agenda at newmajorityagenda.org.
From Iraq and Afghanistan, our brave warriors are coming home, wounded. Some with wounds you can see, some with wounds you can't see. Wounded Warrior Project was created to support our men and women coming off the battlefield. Please help carry these warriors the rest of the way home. Get involved at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Feeling lonely this holiday season? Looking for little human interaction? Do you want to feel contact in certain special places?
Then why not go through security at an airport?
The TSA.
TSA agents are ready and standing by to give you a little something extra to feel thankful about this holiday season.
The TSA.
What are you waiting for? I want to check under your testicles.
Spending time with a TSA agent couldn't be easier. Simply book a flight departing from any American airport. When selected for a full body scanner, say no. You'll be pulled aside by a TSA agent, and that's when the fun begins. And you never know who your agent will be. It could be me. Or me. Or even me.
But it's probably gonna be us. Take off your damn shoes.
The TSA. It's our business to touch yours.
Welcome to the Bureau of Womanhood Conformity. Independent thoughts are considered subversive because all must agree with our leader.
When it comes to women, preventative care should include coverage of contraceptive services such as birth control.
You see, if you don't believe government should pay for your birth control, you're not a real woman. Womanhood denied. If you refuse to accept that pregnancy is a punishment, you're denied as well.
I don't want them punished with a baby.
If you don't believe that abortions should be allowed for any reason, if you don't believe in aborting a child for being the wrong gender, and if you don't believe that stay-at-home mothers aren't real workers, you are not a real conformed woman.
His wife has actually never worked a day in her life. His wife has actually never worked a day in her life.
Finally, for your safety, if you oppose mandatory government health care, you will die.
They will be voting to say that women can die on the floor.
These standards and regulations were formed after our glorious victory in the war on women. Thank you for your cooperation and your conformity.
Today is a special day. Today we gather as a nation and as an international community to recognize the selfless decision of one of the most influential women of our time. She's been recognized by religious figures and politicians around the world. To us, she's just Rachel. But to the rest of the world, she is the woman who, after having one too many drinks, chose not to drive home buzzed. Here today to honor Rachel is the family whose lives she spared.
Save a life. Don't drive buzzed. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
I was in chronic pain, and my family struggling to make ends meet, food and gas prices going up, even keeping my job was iffy. Then I learned about a new miracle drug made in Washington, D.C., Spenditol. Spenditol is Washington's answer to all the painful problems Americans face. How to borrow $800 billion for a stimulus that didn't create jobs or fix the economy? Spenditol.
Spenditol is not for everyone. Side effects may include a mountain of government debt piled on our kids, a sudden loss of freedoms, higher prices for everything, leaving our kids a lesser America than we had. Ask your doctor or congressman if your conscience is strong enough for Spenditol.
And it's so popular in Washington, we have to import trillions more of it from China. Spenditol makes you feel better now and pushes off the really bad stuff till later, for them to deal with.
Call the White House and Congress. Tell them, stop spending it all.
You're listening to The Rod Eccles Show.
And we are back. You are listening to yours truly, L. Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show, the one and only. Newsmax readers, excuse me. U.S. should follow Israel's lead on armed teachers. Now, does anybody notice how I always transition all this stuff together? I mean, I know when when the show first starts, people wonder where the hell is he going with all this kind of stuff, because it seems like it's a story. And you have to understand where the story begins. And the story, in this particular case, does not begin with this Lanza kid. It doesn't begin with his mom telling the babysitter, never turn your back on this. No. That's not where the story begins with liberals not doing what is efficient and necessary, but doing everything else that just sounds good, but is useless in reality. It sounds good to say, yeah, let's get rid of guns, turn them all into plowshares. Yeah, that sounds great. And you may even be able to theorize and imagine a day when there's no assault rifle, there are no guns. Yeah, but that day is not today. That day is not today. Well, it's got to start somewhere, Rod. Well, eventually, yes, but it isn't today. It wasn't Friday. U.S., this is from Newsmax, U.S. should follow Israel's lead on armed teachers. There is a startling photo that is circulating of Israelite teachers watching over school children. And this has struck a nerve with a lot of people in this country. It's surprising to me that people haven't thought of this before. I guess, in this day and age, in this culture, I guess it is kind of surprising. Nobody else would think of it. But as we are still reeling and trying to make sense of and deal with this Newton, Connecticut massacre, a picture is circulating about its subject matter: Israelite teachers watching over their little school children and they're packing heat. Israel's a dangerous place. And, Israel can have all kinds of gun laws. They can even ban, their citizenry, their legal, lawful citizenry. They can ban them from having assault rifles and semi-automatics and all that kind of stuff. Is that going to make them safer? No, it's a false sense of security, folks. Look, a school's a gun-free zone. A mall is a gun-free zone. A theater is a gun-free zone. Until somebody bent on destruction and mayhem and murder crosses that threshold and brings the gun in. And then guess what? They're the only ones with a gun. And it doesn't even have to be in... You know how easy it is to reload a pistol? How quick it can be done? Hey, we're going to limit the clips to like 8 rounds. Fine. He brings in 30 clips. We all watch the movies and see how fast they can change those damn clips. Nobody's going to be able to get away in 3 seconds it takes to change that. So Israel school children are protected by their teachers who are packing heat. And there are a growing number of Americans that say that's the right idea when it comes to protecting our greatest resource, our children. The Israelis have it right. A psychopath would have to be crazy indeed to attack a school where everybody knows that the teachers are armed. It says Alan Kenyon of Wisconsin. We could easily do what the Israelis are doing. How about some good old-fashioned American volunteerism? Says John Studer. It seems that the Israelis have got the mass school thing figured out. After all, when's the last time you heard of a mass shooting in Israel schools? Good question. I mean, folks, we have become we have let the liberals make us so gunophobic that do you realize that our own military, our own soldiers are not allowed to keep their weapons on them? When they're back at base and they're not training, their guns are locked away. How do you think that guy at the Fort Hood shooter got away with shooting so many? I know some people are saying, wait a minute. He was on an army base. Yeah, nobody had guns. Nobody had guns on an army base? No, they're not allowed to have their guns. Do you think that this guy would have went on a rampage if all the soldiers were, within the area that he was at, had their assault rifles on them? Yeah, he may have been able to take out 1 or 2, but he would have gone down pretty damn quick after that. Look, I know, but some people are saying, and I got in this debate yesterday, but, well, okay then, Rod. What, 2 kids are okay? No, they're not okay. But, you know what? At the risk of sounding cold and heartless, which I am not, 2's better than 20. And to think the only reason the massacre stopped at that elementary school is for whatever reason the shooter decided to pull a bullet in himself before continuing. Now, think for a second if that's a terrorist. Think for a second, folks. Terrorists now know how vulnerable our kids are when they're in school. Think if this 20-year-old Lanza kid was not a kid. He was not a suburbanite. What if he was a full-blown, well-trained